Derek Lawson was 43 years old when his wife told him she was leaving him for one of the most famous investors in America. She did it on a rainy Tuesday evening inside the kitchen of the Atlanta home they had shared for 9 years. No shouting, no dramatic confession, no suitcase thrown onto the floor. Just Monica standing beside the marble island in a cream blouse, removing her wedding ring and placing it beside a half-empty glass of wine. The man she had chosen was Preston Vale, founder of Vale Horizon Capital, the charismatic billionaire investor whose face appeared on magazine covers, television interviews, conference stages, and financial documentaries. Monica had spent 6 months working with Preston on a corporate strategy project. Somewhere between private dinners, late calls, and trips disguised as client work, professional admiration became an affair. She looked at Derek and said the sentence she had apparently rehearsed until it sounded reasonable. Preston lives at a level you never wanted to reach. Derek did not argue. Monica continued. He takes risks. He builds companies. People know. When he enters a room, people know who he is. I spent years waiting for you to become something larger, Derek. I cannot wait anymore. Derek looked at the ring, then at the woman he had once believed would grow old beside him. He asked only one question. Does Preston know what I do? Monica almost smiled. He knows you own some small investment company. Derek nodded. That answer told him everything. What neither Monica nor Preston knew was that Derek did not merely own some investment company. Through Lawson Meridian Holdings, a private investment group he had built quietly over 15 years, Derek controlled Meridian Apex Industries, the largest competitor Preston had spent the previous 3 years trying to defeat. Vale Horizon had invested nearly $900 million into building a portfolio designed to challenge Meridian Apex across industrial technology, logistics automation, energy storage, and infrastructure software. Preston publicly described Apex as an outdated private conglomerate that would eventually be forced to sell. He had no idea Derek Lawson owned 72% of it. Monica had no idea either. And 6 weeks after she left, Preston would walk into a private investment conference expecting to negotiate the acquisition of a struggling Apex division, only to watch Derek enter the room, take the seat at the head of the table, and say, Mr. Vale, I think it is time you finally met the man whose company you have been trying to beat. Before we continue, comment where in the world you are watching from and subscribe, because Monica believed she had left an ordinary investor for a financial legend. What she did not understand was that Derek had spent years quietly building the company Preston used as the measuring stick for his own success. Derek grew up outside Richmond, Virginia, in a family that valued competence more than recognition. His father, Warren Lawson, repaired industrial refrigeration systems for grocery warehouses and food distributors. His mother, Denise, worked in accounts payable for a manufacturing company. Warren spent much of his life inside buildings customers never saw. Cold storage facilities, distribution centers, mechanical rooms, factories. He often told Derek that the most important systems were usually invisible until they stopped working. When Derek was 12, Warren brought him to a food distribution warehouse during a summer equipment failure. Thousands of dollars in refrigerated inventory were at risk. Managers stood in an office discussing insurance, while Warren and 2 technicians worked beside machinery in brutal heat. 4 hours later, the system restarted. The warehouse manager shook Warren's hand and returned to his office. Driving home, Derek asked whether his father ever wished he owned the warehouse instead of fixing it. Warren laughed. Owning something does not mean understanding it. Then what is better? Understanding enough that ownership becomes useful. Derek remembered that. He studied economics and engineering management, then accepted a job at an investment bank in New York. Unlike many young analysts, Derek was not fascinated by famous technology companies or glamorous consumer brands. He preferred industrial businesses, manufacturers, logistics companies, infrastructure providers, software businesses serving warehouses, utilities, and factories. The companies rarely appeared on magazine covers. They generated enormous amounts of money. Derek learned how much of modern life depended on businesses ordinary consumers never recognized. At 30, he left banking and returned south. He founded Lawson Strategic Capital with $28,000 of personal savings and money from 3 former clients. The business initially advised family-owned industrial companies considering sales or restructuring. Derek's first major opportunity arrived when a warehouse automation company called Apex Motion Systems lost its founder unexpectedly. The company had strong technology but serious management problems. Several investors wanted to acquire the patents and close most operations. Derek saw something else. Apex built robotic sorting equipment capable of reducing labor costs dramatically inside large distribution centers. He organized a group of investors and purchased a controlling interest. Instead of dismantling the company, Derek hired new management, invested in software development, and expanded into automated inventory systems. Revenue tripled within 4 years. That company became the foundation of Meridian Apex Industries. Derek added businesses slowly: a battery systems manufacturer, a logistics software provider, an industrial sensor company, a grid management business, a fleet optimization platform, a construction technology firm. Each acquisition had one rule: the business had to solve a real operational problem. No fashionable stories, no valuations dependent entirely on future promises. By 39, Meridian Apex employed more than 7,000 people across North America and Europe. Combined annual revenue exceeded $3 billion. The company remained private. Derek preferred it that way. He controlled 72% through Lawson Meridian Holdings and several family trusts. Only investment bankers, major industrial executives, and institutional investors understood exactly who controlled the group. The public rarely heard Derek's name. Monica had been with him during much of that growth. They met when Derek was 33. Monica was 30 and worked at a prestigious management consulting firm in Atlanta. She specialized in corporate growth strategy and executive positioning. Their first meeting happened during a conference about infrastructure investment. Derek was sitting near the back reviewing notes when Monica approached and asked whether the empty chair beside him was available. He moved his briefcase. During the keynote speech, the presenter claimed traditional industrial companies would be replaced by technology-first platforms within 10 years. Monica whispered, "That sounds expensive." Derek looked at her. "Also wrong." She smiled. "Why?" "Because technology still needs factories, trucks, electricity, buildings, maintenance, and people." "You sound defensive." "I own some of those boring things." Monica laughed. They spoke for nearly an hour after the event. Their first date happened 3 days later. Monica loved ambition. Derek had plenty of it. The difference was that his ambition did not require witnesses. At first, she admired that. He worked from modest offices while reinvesting profits. He drove an ordinary luxury sedan long after he could afford anything. He rarely discussed personal wealth. When business publications asked for interviews, he encouraged portfolio chief executives to speak instead. Monica thought the humility was refreshing. They married 3 years later. Their early marriage was stable. Derek traveled often but scheduled time carefully. Monica's career advanced. They purchased an elegant home in Buckhead. They discussed children but postponed the decision while both careers remained demanding. Money was never a source of conflict. Understanding became one. Derek's business structures were complicated. Monica knew Lawson Meridian existed. She knew Derek owned industrial companies. She did not understand how the entities connected. He attempted explaining several times. "Apex is becoming the central operating platform," he said during one dinner. Monica looked at her phone. "Which one is Apex again?" "The automation company that became Meridian Apex." "Right. Is that the one in Ohio?" "Part of it." She smiled. "See? This is why I let you handle it." Derek laughed then. Years later, he would remember the conversation differently. Monica did not lack access to the truth. She lacked interest in understanding it. Her professional life began changing when she joined Sterling Bridge Advisory. Sterling Bridge worked with high-profile founders, private equity executives, celebrities launching companies, and investment firms trying to improve public reputation. Monica moved from operational strategy into executive advisory. Suddenly, her clients were famous. They appeared on television. They hosted conferences. Their social media accounts had millions of followers. Their companies produced carefully designed announcements every few weeks. Visibility became part of Monica's definition of power. Derek remained exactly the opposite. When she asked why Meridian Apex did not build a stronger public profile, he said the company sold industrial systems, not attention. When she suggested hiring a celebrity communications agency, he questioned the return. When she encouraged him to speak at a major investor conference, Derek sent the chief executive instead. Monica's frustration increased. You built something significant and act like you are embarrassed by it. I am not embarrassed. Then why hide? I am not hiding. Most people in Atlanta have no idea what you do. Most people in Atlanta are not our customers. She hated that answer. Derek believed it was practical. Neither understood they were arguing about more than publicity. Monica wanted visible evidence that the man beside her mattered. Derek wanted his wife to believe he mattered without evidence from strangers. Then Preston Vale became her client. Preston was 48, tall, charismatic, photogenic. He founded Vale Horizon Capital after leaving a major private equity firm. Within a decade, he became one of the most recognizable investors in America. His investment philosophy centered on disruption. Preston loved attacking industries dominated by older private companies. He bought controlling stakes, replaced executives, merged competitors, sold assets, entered new markets aggressively. Financial television loved him. Business schools analyzed his deals. His annual investor conference attracted thousands. Monica joined the team advising Vale Horizon on a new public strategy. The firm was preparing to launch Vale Industrial Futures, a $2.5 billion investment platform focused on automation, batteries, logistics technology, and infrastructure software. The same industries Meridian Apex already dominated quietly. Preston made his competitive target public. During a television interview, he said companies like Meridian Apex represented yesterday capital. Private, slow, defensive. He predicted Vale Horizon would surpass Apex within 5 years. Derek watched the interview from his office. His chief operating officer, Naomi Price, looked at the screen. Are we responding? No. He just called us obsolete. Our customers renewed 94% of contracts last year. That is not a press release. Exactly, Naomi laughed. Monica watched the same interview at Sterling Bridge. She found Preston confidence magnetic. During their first private meeting, she mentioned that her husband also invested in industrial businesses. Preston asked the name. Lawson Meridian. He searched his memory. Small fund. Something like that. Monica did not correct him. She could have said Lawson Meridian controlled Meridian Apex. She did not because she did not know. Preston continued. Industrial investing is brutal if you do not have scale. Monica nodded. Derek is conservative. That can preserve wealth. It rarely creates history. The sentence impressed her. She repeated it at home later. Preston says caution preserves wealth, but rarely creates history. Derek looked up from a report. Preston Vale. Yes, he is good. At marketing. At investing. Sometimes. Monica frowned. You always do that. Do what? Dismiss people more successful than you. Derek looked at her carefully. More visible than me. She laughed. Is that what you tell yourself? The words were sharper than she intended. Derek closed the report. How successful do you believe I am? Monica sighed. This is not a competition. You just compared us. I am talking about mindset. Then answer the question. She looked at him. You have done well, very well. Derek waited. Monica continued. But Preston operates at another level. Derek almost smiled. What level? National influence. Billions under management. Companies everyone knows. He nodded. And that matters to you. It should matter to anyone ambitious. Derek did not argue. The affair began months later. Preston had recently divorced. Monica worked closely with him during the launch of Vale Industrial Futures. They traveled to New York, Miami, and San Francisco. Preston praised her constantly. He told her she saw strategy faster than most senior partners. He asked whether Sterling Bridge appreciated her enough. He invited her into rooms where famous investors discussed deals worth hundreds of millions. Monica felt important beside him. The first kiss happened after a private dinner in Manhattan. She returned to her hotel room and cried. Then she answered his message 15 minutes later. The relationship became physical that night. At home, Derek noticed immediately that something had changed. Not evidence, distance. Monica stopped criticizing his career. She stopped asking him to attend events. She became unusually patient. Derek had seen enough corporate negotiations to recognize when someone stopped arguing, because the decision had already been made. He asked directly, "Is there someone else?" Monica stared at him. "No." Derek watched her. "Do you want me to believe that, or do you want it to be true?" Her eyes filled. "Nothing is happening." That was the first clear lie. Derek did not investigate her. He trusted the answer longer than he should have. Meanwhile, Veil Horizon began competing directly with Meridian Apex. Preston acquired a robotics company named Vectorline Automation for $420 million. Meridian Apex had considered the same company and declined because the technology required significant upgrades. Preston announced the acquisition as the beginning of a new industrial era. 6 months later, Vectorline lost 2 major customers because of reliability problems. Veil Horizon invested another $90 million. Preston blamed temporary integration issues. Then he targeted Northgrid Systems, a battery management company that supplied several Meridian Apex energy projects. Derek approved the acquisition through a subsidiary before Preston could complete negotiations. Preston became furious. At a strategy meeting, Monica watched him throw an industry report onto the table. Meridian Apex again. His advisor nodded. "They move faster." "Who owns that company?" The advisor answered. "Ownership is private. Lawson Meridian Holdings is the controlling entity." Monica heard the name. Something inside her paused. "Lawson Meridian." Preston looked toward her. "Did you say something?" "No." She told herself it was coincidence. Lawson was common. Meridian appeared in dozens of company names. She did not ask Derek. By then, asking questions about his work felt dangerous because she knew how little attention she had paid before. Her affair continued. Preston began discussing a future. "You should leave Sterling Bridge and work with me directly." "Doing what?" "Strategy, investor relations, whatever you want." Monica smiled. "That sounds vague." "It means I want you beside me. And Derek." Preston's expression changed. "You cannot keep living halfway between two lives." She knew he was right about that. She also wanted him to say the next part. "You deserve more than the life he offers." There it was. Monica believed him. The Tuesday she left began normally. Derek spent the morning reviewing a possible European acquisition. Monica worked from home. At 7:30, she asked him to sit in the kitchen. The ring was already off. Derek understood before she spoke. "I am leaving." He looked toward the suitcase near the hallway. "For Preston?" "Yes." "How long?" 7 months. The number felt heavier than anger. Derek sat. Monica continued. "I did not plan this. Please do not say that." She stopped. He spoke calmly. 7 months is planning." Her eyes filled. "I tried to end it." "When?" "More than once." "Did you?" "No." Derek nodded. Monica continued. "I have been unhappy for years. Then you should have told me before building another relationship." "I did tell you. You told me I was too private, too cautious, not visible enough." "You did not tell me you were sleeping with Preston Vale." She looked down. "I am sorry. Why him?" The question surprised her. "Because he sees me." Derek's expression changed. "I see you, not like he does." "What does that mean?" "He believes I should be in the rooms I want to enter." "So do I. You always question why the room matters. Because sometimes the room does not matter. To you." Derek leaned back, and to Preston. She hesitated. "He understands ambition." Derek looked at the ring. "What do you believe ambition looks like?" Monica answered without thinking. "Building something everyone else has to notice." Derek nodded slowly. "That explains more than you realize." She became frustrated. "Do not analyze me. I am trying to understand why my wife is leaving. I am leaving because I cannot keep waiting for you to want more." "More than what?" "This life." Derek looked around their home. "You believe this is the limit of my ambition? I believe you are comfortable." He almost laughed. The irony was too painful. Monica continued. "Preston is building something historic. Vale Industrial Futures." "Yes, he is changing entire industries." Derek looked at her. "Which industries?" "Automation, energy storage, logistics, anything familiar." Monica frowned. "Do not make this sarcastic. Does Preston know what I do?" "He knows you own an investment company." "Which one?" "Lawson Meridian." Her eyes changed slightly. Derek noticed. Do you know what Lawson Meridian owns? She crossed her arms. Some industrial companies. Anything else? Why does this matter now? Because you are leaving partly because of what you believe I failed to build. She stared at him. Do not make this about money. I am making it about whether you ever cared enough to understand my life. Monica began crying. That is unfair. Is it? You never explained things clearly. I invited you to annual meetings. They were boring. I sent you portfolio summaries. You know I do not understand those. I asked our family office to walk you through everything. I trusted you. Derek looked at her. Trusting me with money and being interested in me are not the same thing. That sentence ended the argument. Monica picked up her suitcase. At the door, she turned. I hope one day you understand this is not because you failed financially. Derek looked at her. I think you need to believe that more than I do. She left. Preston sent a car. Derek watched through the window as Monica entered it. He did not know yet that she had told Preston he was conservative, small, and afraid of meaningful risk. He would learn later. The following morning, Derek called attorney Evelyn Shaw. I need to prepare for divorce. She listened, then asked whether Monica knew the structure of Lawson Meridian. Apparently not. That may change quickly during disclosure. Derek looked toward the empty side of the bed. I am not hiding anything. Good. They had a prenuptial agreement protecting business interests established before marriage. Certain marital assets and investment distributions would still require division. Derek ordered complete financial disclosure. No games, no transfers, no punishment. Evelyn reviewed everything. Lawson Meridian, Meridian Apex, real estate, fund interests, trust structures, private investments. She looked at Derek. Monica is going to discover that your definition of privacy was unusually comprehensive. Derek almost smiled. I never lied. No, but silence can still create consequences. He knew. The divorce papers were filed 3 weeks later. Monica received financial disclosures through her attorney. She read them inside Preston Penthouse. The first valuation report described Derek controlling interest in Lawson Meridian Holdings. Estimated value of that interest exceeded $1.1 billion. Monica read the number twice. Then she turned the page. Lawson Meridian Holdings owns 72% of Meridian Apex Industries. She stopped breathing. Meridian Apex. The company Preston discussed constantly. The company he planned entire strategies around defeating. The company whose acquisition speed he complained about. The company featured in every competitive presentation. Monica closed the folder, then reopened it. Maybe there was another Meridian Apex. There was not. She searched the corporate ownership disclosures. Lawson Meridian Holdings. Chairman and controlling shareholder. Derek Lawson. Her hands began shaking. Preston entered the room while speaking on the phone. He ended the call. What happened? Monica looked up. Who owns Meridian Apex? Preston frowned. Lawson Meridian. Who owns Lawson Meridian? Private founders and institutional investors? Who is the founder? He stared at her. Why? Answer me. Preston picked up his phone and searched. The first results were vague. Derek kept a low profile. Then he found a private markets database. He read silently. His face changed. Derek Lawson. Monica nodded. Your husband. Yes. Preston stared at the screen. This says he controls more than 70%. Yes. That is impossible. Why? You told me he ran a small investment firm. Monica felt the words like an accusation. I thought he did. You were married to him. I know. How do you not know your husband owns Meridian Apex? Her shame turned quickly into anger. You did not know either. I was not married to him. The sentence was cruel because it was true. Preston continued searching. He opened financial databases, private transaction records, industry publications. Lawson Meridian appeared everywhere once he knew what to look for. Apex acquisitions, debt structures, board appointments. Derek's name appeared occasionally inside technical documents and private conference records. Never on television, never in the public profiles Monica valued. Preston sat down. How wealthy is he? Monica answered quietly. More than $1 billion based on the disclosure. Preston looked at her. Your prenup. What about it? Does it protect Apex? Yes. His expression shifted from shock to professional calculation. Monica noticed. Do not. Do not what? Start thinking about my divorce like a deal. I am thinking about the implications. For whom? For you. No. For yourself. Preston stood. This changes the competitive landscape. How? If Lawson knows about us, he could use Apex against Vale Industrial. Monica stared. Apex was competing with you before the affair. You do not know that personal motives have not influenced recent transactions. The Northgrid acquisition. You think Derek bought a battery company because I slept with you. The timing matters. Monica almost laughed. You spent months telling me Derek was afraid of risk. Now you think he controls the market because he is jealous. Preston's expression hardened. Do not become defensive because you failed to understand your own marriage. The relationship changed in that moment, not because Monica suddenly wanted Derek back, because she saw how quickly Preston transformed her betrayal into financial analysis. The famous investor who claimed to understand her first response was fear that Derek Company might threaten his strategy. 6 weeks later, both men attended the North American Infrastructure and Technology Summit in New York. The conference was private. Investors, chief executives, pension funds, and major industrial companies attended. Preston was scheduled to lead a session on industrial transformation. He also requested a private meeting with Meridian Apex regarding a possible purchase of one of its automation divisions. Vale Horizon had experienced problems with Vectorline. Preston believed acquiring part of Apex could solve them. His advisors arranged a meeting. The invitation listed Lawson Meridian representatives, but not individual names. Preston expected senior corporate development executives. Monica attended the summit because she had left Sterling Bridge and was now advising Vale Horizon directly. That decision already troubled her. She told herself it was temporary. The private meeting took place on the 42nd floor of a Manhattan hotel. Preston entered with Monica, 2 partners, and legal counsel. Apex chief executive, Marcus Reed, sat near the far end. Preston recognized him. They shook hands. Where is your chairman? Preston asked. Marcus looked toward the door. On his way. Preston opened his presentation. We believe there is a strategic fit between Vale Industrial and Apex Automation. Marcus listened. Monica could barely breathe. She knew. Preston still had not fully accepted it. The conference room door opened. Derek entered. Dark navy suit. No entourage. No dramatic expression. Preston stood slowly. Monica remained frozen. Derek placed a folder on the table and took the chair at the head. Mr. Vale. Preston stared. Derek. I think this is the first time we have met properly. Silence. Then Derek added, although I understand you have been discussing my company publicly for several years. Marcus Reed looked down to hide a smile. Preston recovered. You own Meridian Apex. Lawson Meridian owns the controlling position, and Lawson Meridian is yours. I control it. Preston looked toward Monica, then back at Derek. You knew about this meeting, since it was requested, and you came personally. The proposed transaction is significant. Preston sat. Monica remained standing. Derek looked at her. Miss Lawson. The use of her married name felt formal enough to cut. She sat. Preston gathered himself. Our position is straightforward. Apex Automation contains several legacy businesses that could create greater value inside Vale Industrial. Derek opened the presentation. Which businesses? Preston described 2 divisions. Derek listened, then asked detailed questions about integration, capital requirements, customer concentration, software compatibility, regulatory exposure. Preston answered confidently. The meeting became technical quickly. Monica watched the men she had compared for months. Preston was brilliant. That part had never been false. He understood markets, capital, and strategy. Derek understood all of those things too. He also knew the actual operating businesses. He knew factory capacity, customer renewals, supplier risk, research timelines, unit economics, details Preston advisors needed documents to answer. For the first time, Monica understood what Derek meant when he said visible scale and operational understanding were not the same thing. After 40 minutes, Preston made the offer. $780 million for the divisions. Derek looked at Marcus. Marcus shook his head almost imperceptibly. Derek turned back. No. Preston smiled. You have not heard our final structure. The divisions are not for sale. Everything is for sale at the correct price. Not everything. Preston leaned back. This is personal. Derek's expression did not change. Why? Because selling would strengthen your largest competitor. That is usually a reason not to sell. The lawyers shifted. Preston continued. Apex cannot dominate every industrial platform forever. We do not need to. Then what are you protecting? Customers, technology, employees, return on invested capital. Preston smiled. You make ambition sound like maintenance, Derek answered. Maintenance is what people call discipline after the cameras leave. Monica remembered his father. She had heard the story years before. At the time, it seemed ordinary. Now she understood it had shaped everything. Preston closed the presentation. We can increase the offer. The answer remains no. Then why take the meeting? Because your company requested it, and refusing to understand a competitor is poor leadership. Preston stared at him. Derek continued. Also, vector line performance suggests you need more than an acquisition. You need technical integration discipline. Preston's face tightened. You reviewed our numbers. Public and industry information. Vector line will recover. Perhaps. Preston looked toward Monica. Derek noticed. He closed the folder. If the business discussion is complete, I have another meeting. Preston spoke before he could stand. Did you know about Monica and me when Apex acquired Northgrid? Monica went pale. Derek looked at Preston. No. What about when you rejected our logistics partnership? No. When did you know? The day my wife left our home? The room became completely silent. Preston asked the question anyway. And none of your decisions since then were personal. Every material Apex transaction is reviewed through investment committees and operating boards. I disclosed the conflict immediately. Preston almost laughed. You expect me to believe that? Derek looked at him. Whether you believe it is irrelevant. The records exist. He stood. Preston remained seated. Then Derek said something Monica would remember for years. You became my competitor because you entered the same markets. You became involved in my marriage because Monica allowed it. Do not confuse those facts. One is business, the other is character. He left. Monica stared at the closed door. Preston looked furious. He humiliated me. Monica turned. He answered your question. He set this up. No. You do not know that. I do. He owns the room because his company owns the businesses you wanted. That existed before us. Preston looked at her. You sound like you admire him now. The bitterness in the sentence surprised her. I always admired parts of him. Then why did you leave? Because I stopped respecting what I could not see. Preston stood. Do not turn this into some moral revelation because your husband is richer than you thought. Monica stared at him. That is exactly what Derek said would be wrong. What? Making the number the reason respect returns. Preston laughed. You are becoming sentimental, and you are becoming afraid. His expression changed. Of Derek, of Apex, of discovering the man you called small owns the company you have been trying to beat. Preston stepped closer. Be careful. Monica looked at him. That warning sounds different now. She left the meeting room. Their relationship deteriorated over the next 3 months. Vale Industrial Futures struggled. Vector Line required another capital infusion. An energy storage investment missed production targets. Several institutional investors questioned performance. Preston remained famous. Television appearances continued. Conference invitations continued. His public image remained strong. Privately, the pressure increased. He became obsessed with Meridian Apex. Every acquisition became a threat. Every customer win became evidence Derek was targeting him. Advisors repeatedly explained that Apex strategy predated any personal conflict. Preston stopped listening. Monica saw something she had ignored during the affair. Preston needed competition emotionally. He needed rivals to make victory meaningful. Derek did not. Derek wanted businesses to work. The difference once made Preston seem exciting, and Derek boring. Now it made one man look secure and the other exhausted. Monica moved out of Preston penthouse 5 months after the conference. He stood near the windows while she packed. "You are going back to him." "No. You expect me to believe that?" "I am leaving you." "That is not the same thing. Because Apex is winning. Because everything with you became a scoreboard." Preston laughed. "That is rich coming from someone who left her husband because she thought he lacked ambition." She stopped packing. "You are right." The answer surprised him. Monica continued. "I turned my marriage into a scoreboard first." Preston said nothing. "I compared you with Derek before either of you knew you were competing for anything personal. I wanted the person beside me to prove I had chosen well. And now you think you chose wrong. I chose dishonestly. That is different." She closed the suitcase. Preston looked at her. "Did you love me?" "Yes." The answer hurt them both. Monica continued. "But I loved what being with you said about me too. That was part of the problem." She left. The divorce with Derek continued. Monica attorney reviewed the prenuptial agreement and complete financial disclosures. Lawson Meridian remained Derek's separate property. Certain joint investments, real estate, and marital income would be divided fairly. Monica received more than enough to remain financially secure. Derek did not try to leave her with nothing. He did not leak the affair. He did not contact Sterling Bridge. He did not interfere with Preston Company. That restraint became harder for Monica to understand than revenge would have been. 9 months after leaving Preston, she requested a private meeting with Derek. He agreed. They met at the office of Evelyn Shaw. Monica looked tired. Derek looked different too. Not colder, simply detached from the outcome. She spoke first. "Preston and I ended months ago." Derek nodded. "I heard." She looked surprised. "Financial circles are small. I am not asking you to take me back." "Good." The direct answer hurt. She accepted it. Monica continued. "I need to apologize without making the apology a request." Derek waited. "I thought your privacy meant you lacked courage." He said nothing. "I thought companies mattered more when people recognized their names." She glanced down. "I thought Preston was larger because he was visible. Then I learned you owned Apex, and for a few days I almost made the opposite mistake, which was thinking your wealth proved I should have respected you." Derek's expression softened slightly. Monica continued. "It does not. I should have respected you before I knew any of it." "Yes, I know." "Do you?" "Now." She wiped tears away. "When I told you Preston operated at another level, I had no idea what your level was. But the humiliating part is not that I was wrong about the number. It is that I believed a number gave me permission to rank two people I claimed to love." Derek looked toward the window. Monica continued. "I told Preston you were conservative, small, afraid of risk. Were those your words?" "Yes." "Did you believe them?" "At the time." He nodded. That answer hurt more than excuses. Monica spoke quietly. "You invited me into your work. I stopped going. You sent information. I stopped reading. Then I blamed you because I did not understand." Derek looked back at her. "I also stopped explaining." She shook her head. "Do not make my choices smaller by sharing blame. I am not. I am identifying mine." "Why did you stop?" "Because every time you dismissed the companies, I became more determined not to prove anything. Eventually that became pride." Monica listened. Derek continued. "I told myself if my wife needed a valuation to respect me, I did not want to show her one. That was partly principle, partly resentment." She nodded. "Would you have taken me back if Preston and I ended immediately?" Derek was silent for a long time. "No." Her eyes filled. "Why?" "Because leaving was not one decision. It was 7 months of decisions." She looked down. "I understand. Do you regret leaving because Preston disappointed you?" "No." Derek waited. Monica corrected herself. "Not only because of that, he forced me to see what I had become, but regret started when I saw how little I knew about the person I had lived beside for 9 years." That answer felt real. They finalized the divorce 2 weeks later. Monica received joint investment assets, part of the home equity, retirement funds, and a settlement structured under the prenup. Derek retained Lawson Meridian and Meridian Apex. He sold the Buckhead house the following year. Not because Monica demanded it, because he no longer wanted to live inside a home designed around a marriage that had become competitive. Preston remained chief executive of Vail Horizon. His empire did not collapse dramatically. Reality was more complicated. Some investments succeeded, others failed. Vail Industrial Futures reduced its ambitions after 2 difficult years and sold Vectorline to another strategic buyer. Preston remained rich, still famous, still influential. But Meridian Apex remained larger across the industries he had publicly promised to dominate. Eventually, financial journalists stopped framing the competition as Vail against Apex. The market moved on. That irritated Preston more than losing any individual deal. Derek barely noticed. Meridian Apex continued growing. It entered European battery infrastructure, expanded warehouse automation, launched software helping utilities predict equipment failures. Derek gradually became more visible inside the company. Not famous, visible enough that employees and partners understood leadership clearly. The divorce had taught him something uncomfortable. Privacy could become isolation if nobody understood why it existed. He created annual family office meetings that required future partners to understand basic financial structures. He stopped assuming love meant people would automatically ask the right questions. 3 years after the divorce, Derek met Dr. Camille Foster at an infrastructure resilience conference in Boston. Camille was 41 and ran an engineering research institute focused on modernizing electrical grids after extreme weather events. They disagreed during their first conversation. Camille believed private infrastructure investors demanded returns too quickly. Derek believed public projects often avoided accountability. They argued for 30 minutes, then shared coffee. Camille knew Meridian Apex. She did not know Derek owned it until their third meeting. When she learned, she asked approximately 20 questions about governance, employee ownership, investment time horizons, and environmental risk. Derek laughed. What? Nothing. Why are you smiling? You asked more questions in 10 minutes than some people ask in 10 years. Camille looked confused. Is that bad? No. They moved slowly. Derek told her about Monica before the relationship became serious. Camille listened without promising she would never compare him with anyone. Instead, she asked, "What happens when you feel underestimated now?" I try to say it. Try. I am still learning. Good. Monica rebuilt her life separately. She left high-profile executive advisory work and started an independent strategy firm working with founder-led companies. One of her rules became unusual in her industry. Before creating a public positioning strategy, she required executives to spend time explaining how their business actually functioned. Not the story, the operation. She told clients that visibility could magnify substance, but could not manufacture it forever. She never mentioned Derek when explaining why. 5 years after the divorce, Monica attended an industrial innovation gala hosted by a university. Meridian Apex received an award for workforce investment. Derek attended with Camille. Monica saw them from across the room. Camille was asking an engineer about a robotics system displayed near the stage. Derek stood beside her listening. Monica felt an old sadness. Not jealousy, recognition. She had once considered questions like that boring. Now she understood that curiosity was one of the most intimate forms of respect. Later, she encountered Derek near the coat check. "Hello, Monica. Congratulations on the award. The employees earned it." She smiled. "You still do that." "Do what?" "Move the attention." "Sometimes." They stood quietly. Then Monica asked, "How is Camille?" "Good. She seems interested in the work." Derek understood the meaning beneath the sentence. "Very." Monica nodded. "I am glad." He believed her. Before leaving, she said something unexpected. "Preston announced another fund last month." "I saw." "You are not worried?" Derek smiled. "Should I be?" Old Monica would have said yes. And new Monica, she looked toward the ballroom, would ask whether the businesses actually work. Derek laughed. That was enough. They said goodbye. Years later, financial journalists occasionally rediscovered the strange story. Monica Lawson left her quiet husband for famous investor Preston Vail. Then Preston discovered the husband controlled Meridian Apex, his largest competitor. Writers loved the irony. They described the Manhattan conference, the private boardroom, the moment Derek entered. Some exaggerated. One article claimed Preston dropped his presentation folder. He did not. Another said Derek bought Northgrid specifically to humiliate Preston. False. A third claimed Monica immediately begged Derek to reconcile after learning his net worth. Also false. Reality carried a harder lesson. Derek ownership did not make Monica betrayal worse. Preston fame did not make her affair more understandable. The reversal worked only because Monica had confused public recognition with human value long before she crossed the line. She believed Preston was larger because more strangers knew his name. She believed Derek was smaller because he never demanded they know his. Then the business world forced those assumptions into the same room. Derek had every opportunity to use Meridian Apex as a weapon. He could have overpaid for companies Preston wanted. He could have started price wars. He could have leaked veil weaknesses. He did none of it. When Apex competed, it competed because the business logic made sense. That discipline mattered more to Derek than the satisfaction of making Preston lose. One evening, years later, a young executive at Meridian Apex asked Derek whether he had enjoyed watching Preston discover who he was. Derek considered the question. For a moment. Then what? Then the meeting started. The executive laughed. That is it. What did you expect? I do not know. Revenge. Derek looked through the conference room glass toward engineers working late. Revenge is expensive when thousands of employees depend on you not being stupid. The executive smiled. So you never wanted to beat him? Of course I wanted to beat him. Then what is the difference? Derek answered carefully. Wanting your company to perform better than a competitor is business. Needing another man to fail before you can feel valuable is insecurity. He understood the distinction because his marriage had once collapsed around the opposite idea. Monica believed being chosen by a famous man increased her value. Preston believed defeating a hidden competitor would confirm his legend. Derek had once believed needing recognition was beneath him. All three were wrong in different ways. Value did not come from winning the room. It came from knowing what remained true after the room stopped watching. Meridian Apex remained strong. Preston remained famous. Monica became wiser. Derek eventually remarried. Life did not arrange itself into perfect punishment and reward. It rarely does. But one fact never changed. On the evening Monica left, she believed she was walking away from a cautious investor toward a man operating at another level. Months later, Preston himself discovered that the company defining his biggest competitive challenge belonged to the husband Monica had underestimated. By then, Derek no longer needed the revelation. The people who mattered inside Meridian Apex already knew who he was, and eventually he learned that was enough.